Hello, beautiful human. Welcome to another episode of the Returning Home podcast with Liem. And in today's episode, we're going to be diving deep into how we create our reality. And today, we're not going to talk about the law of attraction. Actually, we're going to talk about things such as physics, quantum physics. We're going to talk about the double slit experiment and how this actually supports scientifically that we create our reality through observation. And I'm really excited to talk about this topic because I feel like if I don't talk about the physics or the science of stuff, yes, there is a part of humanity that definitely is open for ideas like the law of attraction, like manifestation, like dimensions and aliens, extraterrestrial life, like past lives, and all that kind of woo-woo stuff. But I do feel that if we start bringing in quantum physics and science into this, it will welcome a lot of new people into seeing that spirituality isn't just some woo-woo stuff. It actually is based on science. Science comes from the universe. All that mathematics do, all that chemistry does, all that biology or physics do is explaining the laws of the universe in equations and logical explanations. And so today, without making this complicated, we're going to dive deep into the science of it, and your mind is going to get blown, I'm pretty sure. Why? Because my mind got blown, and that's why I want to create this video about this, because I know how powerful this understanding actually is and how this could be the key, the door towards opening up spirituality towards the masses. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. I'm so excited about the fact that quantum physics is now bridging spirituality, consciousness, and science. And even though I wasn't a top A grade student at physics, it always fascinated me because the laws of the universe are being proven through science, through mathematics, through chemistry, and through biology, and through physics. And so it always felt like something, like I wasn't great at it, but it intrigued me so much because from a young age I was very interested in these kind of things, in nature, in how things work. I was fascinated with black holes and all that kind of stuff. And so today what I want to talk about is the double slit experiment. And I'm going to try to explain this in the easiest way possible so that it doesn't get all jargon and complicated. I want to make this as simple as possible so that every single person on this planet is able to understand how this actually works and why this experiment is so incredible. So what this experiment did, I'm not entirely sure when was the first time that this experiment was done, but basically what they did was they were researching how light particles were behaving. And light particles, what they discovered is they can be either a particle or they can be a wave. They can be both. So this is different from sound waves or from water, because water can only behave as a wave. And so the interesting thing about light is that it can be both a particle and both a wave. And the crazy thing about this is that because a particle or a wave particle can have the nature of a wave, it can be observed in multiple locations at the same time. Now, if you actually want to translate this into reality, imagine yourself being in one location or where you are right now, but also knowing that you are in a different location at the same time. Now, I don't know about you, but that is pretty wild to me. And so, the double slit experiment, what it does, it was projecting light onto a plate that had 2 slits in it, and behind that plate there was a projection onto a screen. And so visualize this in your mind. You have the light, then you have in the middle there is a plate with 2 parallel slits in it, and behind that there is a screen on which the light is projected. And because this light is projected through these slits, you could see certain patterns onto this screen. Now, the crazy thing that they observed is when they tried to measure the light with an observation machine, not sure how you call it, they saw that the patterns that were projected on the screen was different from what it was before. So instead, seeing the same pattern as you would see with waves, they were seeing 2 straight lines, so 2 straight parallel lines on the screen. When they turned on the observer, when they switched off the observer, the pattern again changed into what you would typically see when you're projecting a wave onto that screen. So the scientists who did this experiment were flabbergasted. They were like, how is it possible that when we turn on this observer or we switch it off, it shows 2 different kind of patterns onto the screen? And many years passed by, and there are a lot of different theories that try to explain this phenomenon, but the most widely acknowledged theory is actually the Copenhagen interpretation. And what the Copenhagen interpretation explains is the many worlds interpretation, which explains that we are observing one measurement in one reality. And like I was saying earlier, a light particle can be either a particle in nature or it can be a wave in nature. And waves means because the particle can be at multiple locations at the same time, it has an infinite amount of wave probabilities, meaning that there are a lot of probable different locations where this particle can be right now. And so what this many worlds interpretation said was, we are either observing one measurement in one reality, but that doesn't mean that these wave probabilities or these different location probabilities aren't still taking place. And so yes, through observation you are focusing on one point, but at the same time, this particle, these wave probabilities are still happening. This particle is still in different locations. However, you're just not observing it. And so this is so interesting, and it really made me think of Dolores Cannon. And Dolores Cannon is a beautiful woman who unfortunately passed away. And she spoke about the existence of parallel universes, parallel realities. And that is basically what quantum physics says. It says one particle can be in one location and in another location at the same time. So Dolores Cannon was actually a past life regressionist. She was not a channeler, meaning that she was not channeling information. She was gathering her information through doing past life regressions on other people, and she has helped thousands of people from all over the world to explore their past lives on this planet and of this planet. And I've never really talked about this before. It is a topic that I probably should create a podcast on rather sooner than later, because there's so much to be explored and deep dived into that topic. So I will save that for another episode, because I can really talk about this topic for ages and ages and ages. It's probably the thing within spirituality that I don't speak often about because I feel that the world is not ready for it. But as you can tell, I can talk ages about that. So back to the story. So Dolores Cannon did past life regressions on other people. And so within these past life regressions, she was able to learn from those beings that she was encountering, and she was introduced to the concept of parallel universes or parallel realities. And what she was explaining was, it was mind-blowing. And this is why I feel that the Copenhagen interpretation, or this many worlds interpretation, really links to this. And again, this is not science, this is simply my own intuition. So if this resonates with you, then it is for you. If it doesn't, then take this with a grain of salt. So what she was taught within her past life regressions from those beings is that we have an infinite amount of timelines, infinite amount of different realities that we can switch in and out of every single second of every single day. Now, we do this all the time. I think I was explaining in another episode where I said there are so many different timelines for a specific day and how certain events unfold in our lives. For example, you wake up in the morning and your usual ritual is you wake up, you go to the kitchen, and you make yourself a cup of coffee. Now, I know that I do that. Before anything, I love to sit down with my coffee and just relax and think about all the amazing things that I want to do that day. But for example, this is your reality. So you're waking up, you're getting a cup of coffee. In a different timeline, you're choosing to wake up and then have a cup of tea. In a different timeline, you wake up and you drink water. In a different timeline, you drink ginger ale. Or in a different timeline, you drink kombucha. Or in a different timeline, you can drink anything else. Or in a different timeline, you wake up and you don't feel like coffee or drinking anything, and you immediately jump into the shower. And so based on these decisions, you are choosing a certain timeline. I hope that this makes sense. So in every single moment of every single day, we're doing stuff that basically makes us shift into different timelines. And what Dolores Cannon was teaching in her books, I believe it was The Convoluted Universe, she is talking about how in one moment we choose to do one thing, and so in our experience we are experiencing that timeline, but in different parallel universes or in different parallel realities, we're still experiencing the other probabilities, meaning that just because our conscious focus is in this reality right now, in this decision, doesn't mean that the other possibilities are not happening. They are still happening, but because if we would experience it all, then we will feel super schizophrenic, and that's why this is not happening. But from higher perspectives, they are saying that these parallel universes already exist, and they exist every single time. So there is a parallel reality happening for you where you are drinking tea or you are drinking water, whereas in your experience you chose to drink coffee. And so these frequencies or these energies, they split into different dimensions, different parallel realities where the other things are still happening. Now, when I think about this for too long, my mind just literally, it stops. It's just a complete brain fart because it cannot comprehend the information or how that actually works. But I just want to plant these seeds so that you open up your mind to what is actually possible, and the way that we perceive reality is just a tiny fraction of what is actually happening. There are literally no limits to what is happening, and what I feel like the more that you start deep diving into spirituality, you start embodying more of the teachings and the knowledge, the more actually starts to be shown to you, and the more you start to understand that actually I don't know that much. I really don't know anything about our reality, about our existence, and there is no end to all of this. There's no end to this growth, to this spiritual development, to this personal development and self-mastery. And so the reason why I believe that the double slit experiment, the Copenhagen interpretation, is so important and so groundbreaking information is because it basically says that through observation we can influence what we experience in this moment. And think about manifestation for a minute. Think about the law of attraction. Think about creating our reality. In its basis, everything is energy, and energy is everything, meaning that everything consists out of energy. And the way that we perceive this energy, the way that we focus, the way that we observe, determines what is mirrored back to us. We know this. We know this from the law of attraction. We know this from manifestation. We know this from spirituality. And so, is the double slit experiment proving that through observation we can actually influence our reality? We can influence how particles are behaving? So if there's one takeaway or a couple takeaways from this episode, I think it is we are the creator of our own reality. What we are vibrating right now is attracting or repelling certain things from coming into our lives. How we perceive things, how we look at things changes the reality around us directly. And that's why reprogramming your mind, your limiting beliefs, this filter that you're looking through, because often we're not seeing reality as it is. We are seeing reality as we are. So if we have some limiting beliefs stored within our subconscious mind, and honestly, I think 99% of the people on this planet have them. You're gonna be very special if you don't have them. Or you have done a lot of work. So if we reprogram our limiting beliefs, meaning that we can see reality as it is, we can actually see abundance around us, we can see love, we can feel worthy and confident, we can feel connected, then that's what we're going to be focusing on. If that's what's going to be what we're observing, then that is what we're creating in our reality. If you haven't checked out some episodes on how to do this, I really recommend on listening to the episode Brainwash Yourself for Success and 5 manifestation techniques on how to change your life. I really feel that these 2 episodes really fit amazingly into this one. If you haven't already listened to them, I really think that you're going to understand a lot more of what I'm talking about right here and right now. And I think that that was it for today, guys. It was a lot of information. It was a lot of science, and I feel I'm curious. If you're listening on YouTube, let me know in the comments, what were your aha moments? Have you ever heard of the double slit experiment? And what are your thoughts on parallel realities? Let me know where you guys are tuning in from, because I love to get to know you. If you have liked this video, then please like and share this episode with anyone who you think could benefit from this message right now. Maybe your loved ones, maybe your family members, your friends, or your community members. With spreading this message, I do believe that we're helping the planet to awaken and to move into unity and love consciousness. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, be sure to give this episode a 5-star review if you liked it. It will really help me and to spread this message to the people who need to hear right now. Thank you all so much for being here. Keep growing, keep shining your light, and keep being your beautiful self.